Hello, and thank you for calling the Higher Self Hotline, your direct line to the divine. You've been led here by your inner knowing, and you've arrived right on cue. I'm your host, Zoe Greco, and together we'll make the ethereal earthly, helping you consciously embody your spiritual knowing and most authentic self. Please listen carefully to the following options. To discover how to fulfill your soul's purpose, press 1. To unlock infinite abundance in life, love, and career, press 2. To heal your mind, body, and spirit, press 3. To speak with your personal spirit guides, press 0. Please hold while we connect you to your highest timeline. Hello, Divine Darlings, and welcome back to the Higher Self Hotline. I'm your host, Zoe Greco. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today is, you know it, you love it, an installment of the Let Me Ask My Psychic segments, one of my little solo episodes I do for you guys where we just tap in, tune in, connect a little bit, and I get to talk a little bit about what's going on with me, what's going down in Zoe Town. I'm going to be so honest with you. I'm liking 2026. I am liking it. I'm liking it. Let me tell you why. So far, I feel like I am seeing myself the most clearly that I have been able to, truthfully, as long as I can remember. I don't ever really remember feeling so much like myself. And as I sit here today and I think back and I look back at really the years and years, maybe 8 years that I felt off, uncomfortable, like something wasn't quite correct. It's so astounding to me from this side of the experience to be able to really see just how many ways, in these very micro, minute ways, that I was contorting and bending myself to fit into my own self-created circumstances, limitations, beliefs, experiences that didn't really leave room for who I am truthfully as a human being. And now that I've started to have the space to be myself more deeply and real, like in a real way, I really have a lot of relief, but I also have a lot of sympathy for the self that I was. And I love her. I appreciate her. I am grateful to the girl that got me here, but I'm so relieved to no longer be her and instead to be me. So I've really been, in the month of February, really basking in that. Unfortunately, I usually need to record these before the month ends because obviously it needs to be ready in plenty of time to be edited by our amazing editor, Mike. Mike, can you put in a little round of applause for yourself right here? Yeah, Mike's amazing. Mike needs time, like production needs time, like we need time to put these episodes out. And so I never really get to like finish the month that I'm getting ready to talk about. So this month still yet to come, I have a Galentine's, if you can believe it. We're doing Galentine's late this year. I don't know why, but my friend Julie is hosting Galentine's this year. And I decided to have the most insane photo backdrop commissioned by one of my friends who's an artist for Julie's party. And I'm having so much fun just being, creatively collaborating with my friends. My dad's going to come into town and visit the last week of the month. I haven't had a chance to see him in quite some time. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I will fill you in on that next month when we tap in. But February has been so expansive. For me personally, on a personal level, it is a personal month 1 for me. And I've really been feeling it. I've really been feeling that kind of like new initiatory energy. And as I really settle in to leading and teaching and guiding in the mentorship container. Hi, guys, by the way, I know you guys are listeners. So, hey, everybody that's in the container, I love you. As I am adjusting to that role and that position of leadership, I am really astounded at what it asks of me. Like, yes, in the container, I am a mirror to my students and my mentees, but they are quite the mirror to me. So for a little peek behind the curtain in what's been going on in the container, just to actually backtrack for a second, the container is my dream. It's my dream. It's what I've always wanted and didn't know was possible or accessible to me. And it's honestly something that for a very long time I believed was potentially too good to be true. I thought it was completely out of reach, totally inaccessible. And I didn't think that this level of trust from others in my real self was possible, like for others to trust my real self this deeply. Nor did I believe at certain points in my life that I could be of service to others and be of service to myself. And some of those old beliefs and old patterns really started to show up for me in the last month and a half of the container. So we've been in the container for approximately 7 weeks. And the first 4 weeks were a little challenging because, as you guys know, I was finishing up broader, open to the public one-on-one client sessions and holding the container at the same time. And that limited my schedule. It limited my availability. And, there was a lot of density in that month just because of all that I was taking on. And I assumed naively that it would lessen or lighten come February. And instead, because I had started already to establish energetic patterns and foundations within the container from a misinformed and old belief system, I really felt unbearably squeezed. And there was one point where I was like, oh, I haven't eaten lunch since this program started. And I kind of expected that January would make me feel that way, but I didn't expect that February would make me feel that way. And so when it was, I felt this crushing sort of I felt suffocated, and not by my students. I want to be very clear about that. It was not by my students. It was by the energetic structure of the container, which is me. I'm the container. I am the one that creates the parameters. And I found myself doing a little bit of people pleasing and falling into old patterns of service and old beliefs about, the idea that if someone is investing to a certain degree to work with me or have an experience with me, that I have to show up in a certain way. I have to overperform. I have to overserve. I have to overdeliver. I have to do the work for them. I have to make sure that they get to their desired destination. It was all of this force. I have to. I need to. I must. And I do. It was I was doing all the time. If I wasn't hearing from people, I was pursuing them. And I knew in my gut that wasn't how it needed to go and how it needed to be. And so I brought that. First, let me say I brought that to my mentor, George, who, by the way, I have re-entered George's coaching container. Feeling so excited and so good about that. That's maybe a story for another time, maybe a story George and I can tell. But George is always remained and still is one of my favorite people, one of my closest friends, and one of just the most important people in my life. And in entering into, teaching and guiding others, I felt really weird and uneasy about not having support myself. And so I was like, well, I love and respect George, and I love and respect the way that he holds his container. And that's the model that I feel most resonant with. And so George and I had some wonderful heart-to-hearts and just points of repair and reconnection. And I'm back in his care, which I'm very grateful for, because that's on being an adult. I will tell the story later, and I don't mean to digress too much, but there was a conversation George and I were having where I was like, what's so weird is in another universe, we're enemies. We have a story about each other or something. And that's just not how this went down. This was a moment of fissure and repair that was so natural and easeful and beautiful and wholesome and like non-confrontational. It lacked conflict. It just was like, it just was, you know? And so when I was feeling like I was struggling with the way that I was doing it, and I knew it was me, like I knew it was not my mentees, it was not my students, it was no one but me. And first of all, that felt so good. Taking responsibility feels so good. Taking responsibility for yourself, knowing where you have power and authority and using your power and authority lovingly, consciously, intentionally, and in a way that is also self-aware and self-loving. 10 out of 10 recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend. It felt so good to be like, oh, I created this and I can change it. Like I created this and I have the power to change it. The other thing that I knew was in my dream world, in my dream scenario, which I am designing, I am literally moment by moment designing my dream life. In my dream life, I have all the space I need to work on my business, which was woefully neglected by me in the first month and a half of the year. My life, my personal life, my body, my wellness, my relationships, my home, all of those things. In my dream life, they all get my attention. There's enough space for them, more than enough space for them. And I am wildly abundant for being myself. And in my dream, all of my clients and all of my mentees always get what they want. Point blank, period. Without me having to bend until I break, or overextend or overexert myself, or neglect parts of myself, or neglect my life, or neglect my business, or any of those things. And so when that was starting to happen, I was like, oh, something ain't right, people. And it just felt so clear to me that something had to change. So I called George, like literally just like picked up my phone and called him and was like, hey, bestie, I know you're leaving for Guatemala on your like retreat, but before you go, can I just run this by you? It was a 3-minute phone call. 3-minute phone call. And I just said, I feel this way. I need to make this change. And I want to just tell my mentees directly, transparently, what's happening, why it's happening, take responsibility, and just make the minor energetic tweak that is necessary for that to happen. And he was like, slay. Like, yeah, go do it. I do believe his exact words were slay. And I felt so good about it on my own. And then just getting that kind of like that supportive reflection from my support system. I really didn't feel the need to like continuously externally consult. I just was like, yeah, this feels good to me. This feels true. And so 3 days later on our next group call, I said to everybody, hey, we're going to make a change. And I don't really need to get into like the exact specifics of it, but it was basically like, long story short, the method in which they could book their one-on-one calls with me, because they do have unlimited one-on-one calls. And I felt like they were being booked in a way. Okay, I guess I am getting into the details. Changed my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind anytime. So the way in which the calls were being booked made me feel like the energetic onus was kind of sitting on me in those, hour and a half segments I was spending with them at a time. And the work was kind of getting maybe put down a bit in the meantime and not engaged with in like a lived experience. And I don't think that was intentional on anybody's part. In fact, I firmly believe that that dynamic was created by the way that sessions used to be done, which is why I stopped doing them in the first place, because I knew in my gut that me just telling everybody the answer was not the way that they were going to learn or actually grow. And so with session, basically, like I was telling people things and either they could hold the answer then, like it kind of clicked for them in the moment, or they had to move through their lives and in some way be like triggered into actual like lived, embodied knowledge and knowing, which sometimes could happen 5 years later, sometimes more. Like I got emails all the time that were like, hey, I haven't talked to you for 5 years. I spoke to you once. Everything you told me at the time I felt like couldn't possibly be. And now 5 years later, everything you said came true, happened. And so, it's like, I knew that that wasn't actually serving people, but because that was what people wanted from me and what they were used to, I was capitulating and perpetuating that dynamic in the container, which is the exact opposite place that it belongs. The container was created basically in complete contrast to that method of approach. So when I felt like it was creeping in because of me, because I was letting it creep in, because I was capitulating, because I was people pleasing because of my own shit, not because of anything they were doing, I just had to course correct and be like, okay, we're no longer pre-booking one-on-one calls, nor are one-on-one calls going to be allowed to recur. And let me tell you what, the girlies in the group who are listening right now, they already know what's coming. They did not like it. They did not like it. At first they were like, what? Like, why are you taking the calls away? And I had to be like, oh, no, I'm not taking the calls away. I am changing the way that you book them. That's it. You can still have as many as you want. And guess what, guys? You have something better than a booking link. You have my actual, literal fucking phone number, my personal phone number. Okay. You can just call me in real time. In real time, when you're having a struggle, just call me and I'm right there. But the reason I couldn't be accessible in real time was because I was so fucking booked up with pre-booked calls. It was fucking up the flow of the container. And so the girly pops did not like it. Some people took it super well immediately, but then really struggled with it like the next day. Some people took it really poorly initially and then totally came to terms and peace with it the very next day. And then they had asked some really amazing questions in that conversation that I wanted to kind of just like close the loop around. So I shared a post the following day in our like online community, what we call the Mothership. And I posted this thing in the Mothership and it was just a little more structured. It was like, I'll be less available on evenings and weekends, even though I didn't say I wasn't available. I just said I'm less available. And by the way, I was talking to people till like 10 p.m. last night, like, okay, I'm still available, you know? And I loved it. I love talking to my people at 10 p.m. I love little late night chats. So I just said like, I'm going to be less available evenings and weekends, but you know, I'm still accessible. And before you book a call, I just would ask, or before you ask for a call, I would ask you to consider a few things. Have you meditated on this? Have you journaled about this? Have you consulted your tools or your guides or your cards? Have you done any sort of like introspection around this yet? Or have you just been ruminating and you want to kind of hand it off or pass it off? And at that point, I would then ask you to come to the WhatsApp and just chat with me about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's go back and forth. Let's get some voice notes. Let's do some texting. And if at that point we can't just move through it there, then we can, get on a call. And mostly because the work happens as you hold it. Like if I'm holding the work for them, they're not really able to do it. So in the container, the whole point is that I'm like handing it back to them and teaching them how to hold it. And honestly, that was harder for me than I think it was for them. And then as I came to terms with it, then they had their turn having a hard time with it. And now several weeks later, we are so right as rain. I've had impromptu calls with most people. I'm accessible. Things are feeling really in flow. People are really starting to like click into the system and like get how it works and spend time with themselves. And they're like starting to get more comfortable. But I can understand how difficult that might have felt for them at first, because essentially we spent the first month with me just kind of trying to reinforce that they're allowed to take up space. It's like, take up space, message me, call me, ask me, do. And then what I said in the end might have felt like I was saying, don't take up as much space or don't take up space. But what I was actually saying is, I just don't want to pre-book the space you're taking up. Like, that's it. Like, I want to leave my life so open and create so much availability that you can take up space whenever you need to. But that was still a concept that I was learning to articulate because I was experiencing it in real time. And it was also something that they were learning to absorb because it was being introduced to them for the first time kind of ever. And I have to say, I feel infinitely better. Infinitely better. Like, for instance, yesterday, Tuesdays are kind of wait, hold on. 2 days ago. Today's Thursday. So 2 days ago was a Tuesday. And Tuesdays are like my personal day. It's the day I do therapy. It's the day I go to my appointments. It's like the day that I do my things that I can't do on weekends because people don't work on weekends. So, I have therapy, whatever. So this Tuesday happened to be nail day and lash refill. And it was so cool. Oh, and then I ran some errands for Galentine's. I just did personal errands, I didn't really have I had done my work that I needed to do for the business, and it was my personal day. But I was still talking to my girls all day and having the best time. I was able to serve and support them while completely luxuriating and just living my life. And it was yes, this is how it was supposed to be. And nobody was neglected. Everyone was responded to. Everyone was answered and held and loved. And it was a perfectly seamless day. Perfectly seamless. I got to do everything that I needed to do for me, wanted to do for me. And I was in full service to my people. And that is what it's supposed to feel like. That's what it's supposed to feel like from the beginning. That's what my dream is, right? And if I'm designing my dream and it's not feeling like my dream, then it's my responsibility to course correct. So that was kind of the big thing in February. Otherwise, it's been quite a simple month. We had an organizer come in, our favorite organizer, Organize with Missy. She's fabulous. If you're in the Phoenix area or you're in Arizona, you definitely want to work with Missy. She's just so delightful, so easy. I'm so comfortable with her. She's really my friend at this point, to be honest. And we had she'd done a bunch of spaces in our home. And then she liked it so much, she was like, hey, can I do my branding, video and photography shoot here at your place? And in exchange, I'll gift you guys some closets. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Organizing the closets, not the closets themselves. You knew what I meant. So we were like, slay. Yeah, absolutely. And that was the end of 2024. That was October 2024 that we made that exchange. And we only just this month, or I guess last month for you, claimed that. And so she came and did 3 closets for us for free. Talk about manifesting. That was incredible. And then she came the following week and revamped our pantry and our bathroom closet because those had been a little overgrown. It's been 2 years since she's built the system, and we maintained it pretty well. But you outgrow things as you bring more things into your life and into your home. And so I am feeling so energetically clear. I'm feeling so good. My home feels really in order. We have a new house manager. Her name is Callie, and she is really just delightful and sweet and just great. We actually worked with a recruiter this time because we were so busy to try and find somebody to support with household stuff. And so Ethan and I were just slammed, but we were so slammed that we knew okay, we need support and we need it soon, but we don't even have the time to seek support. So we sought support to seek support. So we worked with a recruiter who was a friend of one of Ethan's cousins, and he was also delightful. He got us a few candidates. I think we had 5 or 6 interviews. And when we interviewed with Callie, I just felt I've learned at this point, right? I've learned to trust my intuition enough that when I get that ping or that feeling that something just is correct, I just go with it. And so this is actually a new career path for Callie. It's not something that she's done in the past. And I don't want to talk too much about Callie because that's her private life, but this is a new direction for her. And we knew that. We knew this was a skill set she would need to build, but there was just a real immediacy and click and comfort of personal connection. And as soon as we spoke with her, I was like, oh, she's the one. I knew she's the one. And so far, so great. She's lovely and wonderful, and just her energy is so good in the house. And so right now, because obviously we spend all of our time here, right? Energetically, the house just feels so clear and clean and held and supported. And everything just feels peaceful. I feel really supported. I have a supportive community of friends. I have a supportive team behind me. I have support at home. I feel in all those very practical ways, very supported. And that is extremely important. And something I was thinking about a lot actually recently, about how often we feel like we need to do things by ourselves or do things alone. And I do identify as someone who has big dreams, big ambitions, big goals, and I am a person that requires support. I just am. I love collaborating. I love working together. I love putting our heads together, putting our brain power together, putting our talents together. I love people, first of all. I'm just a people girl. There's a term for that, right? A people person. I'm a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple. No, that's not it, right? I love people. I love people and I love to work with people. I love to collaborate. And so I feel very comfortable allowing myself to be supported. And in return, I offer support back, whether that is paying people or whether that is being, a friend that shows up for others or a combination of those things. Like, to me, it's very important to pour back into those who pour into you. I really believe in reciprocity. I really believe in equal energy exchange. And so I don't seek support that I can't then offer some form of reciprocity back to. And there are times, I guess I could say, where like I've sought support that I might not have known how I was going to be reciprocal toward. But as that support came in to hold me and uplift me, I had then more energy, resources, what have you, to pour back into them. So all in all, right now, feeling a lot of powerful lessons showing up in my life around leadership and the type of leader that I want to be, the type of facilitator I want to be, the type of practitioner I want to be, the type of person that I want to be, the type of boss I want to be, and the type of artist I want to be. I know this catch-up is going a little long, but like, that's why we're here, right? Okay. My music. I am putting out music. I have 2 songs that I have written, and I've talked a little bit about this, I think, on the show so far. And if I haven't, someone comment and let me know. But I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this. I'm working with an incredible musician named Bradley Thomas Turner, and he is one of my favorite instrumentalists. I think his music is just out of this world. And he likes my music and agreed to work with me. And so we're co-creating these songs together. And right now I only have 2 that really like came out of me, but I'm starting to become more inspired and lean into the music and kind of like maybe have some ideas for other songs. I have also been privately kind of capturing a bit of this process to share with my like close friends, or mostly just to have for myself. And I do think at some point I will share that publicly, but I really have just been letting myself like capture the feelings and the process and like my mindset. And at this stage, we have pretty much like the instrumentals laid down with some rough vocals on top. And then we're starting to ideate on the background vocals. And I'm really, 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 really hoping that these will be out by my birthday, April 3rd. But I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. And I don't want to like set myself up for disappointment if it doesn't. But I think if I got really busy and like really did my thing, they could be ready to come out by then. But I don't know if I want to rush it. I think I want to enjoy it. Maybe I'll release them more toward the summer. I don't know yet, but the music has started to take shape in a way that it has not yet. I have not yet gotten to this place in the creative process with my own music, like music that is mine. Like even working with Bradley, like I gave him all the musical references that I was like, I want it to sound like this song, but also like this one, but also like this one, but also like none of them. Like I've been very directional in kind of how I want the instrumentals to sound and how I want them to come out. And Bradley has brought them to life even better than I could have imagined. It's also given me some space and some permission to get even weirder with the things I want to include in the music. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like I myself am surprised by how fucking weird my music is. Especially one song that's like, it's macabre in its messaging, and then like its delivery. I'm I want it to be kind of like disturbing. And I've been so surprised to find out that like as an artist, I'm a little, I guess this isn't actually surprising, but like as an artist, I'm quite dramatic. I say as I'm in this this giant, red scene behind me. I guess I shouldn't be surprised actually at the fact that I'm a dramatic artist, but it did take me by surprise. I was surprised by that. So to learn that about myself and to be able to collaborate with someone who also resonates at that frequency and like also gets what I'm trying to put out into this world has been so rewarding. Our working relationship is so smooth and so seamless and so easy, and just like we just get each other and we communicate really well, and there's no like rush. We're just kind of like flowing as it needs to. And it is just exactly what my soul needs on a personal level. Like when I'm not working or I'm not like pouring into others, when I'm just doing something that is purely like selfishly motivated and like just for me, this is that. And it is really filling my cup in a way that I have wanted, needed, and long placed on the back burner. And it just feels so exciting and rewarding to finally give this to myself. And to be completely honest, like I don't plan to like promote it or try and send it anywhere or do anything. Like I'm just going to kind of say like, hey, I put music out. If you guys are interested, like you can listen to it if you want to. Maybe I'll do like a listening party for Pajama Party. Actually, the day that I'm recording this is the day of the first ever Pajama Party. So tonight is our first ever Pajama Party, and I will definitely let you guys know next month how it goes, how it feels, how it's flowing. But as of right now, we are planning to do them every third Thursday of the month. Totally free. Just come and hang out with me. I'm going to do like Ask Me Anything, pull cards for you guys, literally just hang out and have a good time. So if you are interested in that and you missed February's, because you're not like, you won't know because like this, you know what I mean? If you missed February's, please come for the one this month in March. And it will be on the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. See you there. And with all of that said, you guys, I think I need to leave some juice and some good stuff for next month. So for now, let's close up this little personal chat and let's take it over to the numerology forecast. As always, I would love to explore this month with you through the lens of numerology. As this new 9-year cycle continues to unfold, March brings a noticeable shift in focus. The opening months of the year established direction and gave voice to emerging ideas. March now turns attention towards structure, responsibility, and the practical work required to support what has already been set in motion. March opens as a collective month 4 within the broader context of a collective year 1. With initiation and expression already active, this month emphasizes stabilization. It asks how ideas become sustainable and how momentum is supported through consistency, effort, and clear systems. The energy becomes more grounded and task-oriented, drawing attention to foundations rather than inspiration alone. The number 4 governs structure, discipline, organization, and material responsibility. It highlights systems, routines, boundaries, and the framework that allows growth to continue over time. In the early stages of a new cycle, this energy plays a critical role by helping determine whether what has been initiated can realistically be maintained. On a supportive level, March encourages focus, planning, and consistent effort. It favors building systems that feel reliable and intentional, establishing routines that support long-term goals, and committing to the daily actions that give form to vision. This energy supports practical problem solving, resource management, and decisions rooted in realism and accountability. This month brings attention to what needs reinforcement. Structures that are sound can be strengthened. Systems that lack integrity may begin to show strain. March asks for honesty about capacity and sustainability, inviting adjustments that support durability rather than expansion for its own sake. Collectively, this energy emphasizes work, infrastructure, and responsibility. There may be increased focus on policies, systems, labor, and the logistics required to support growth. Conversations may shift from ideas and messaging toward execution and implementation. Progress is measured through consistency and follow through rather than visibility. On a personal level, March supports committing to the practical side of what you are building. This includes establishing routines, clarifying priorities, and tending to details that may have been easy to overlook earlier in the cycle. It invites reflection on how your time, energy, and resources are being managed and whether your current structures support the direction you've chosen. The challenge of this month lies in rigidity or over control. When structure becomes inflexible, momentum can feel really restricted. When responsibility is carried without support, effort can turn into strain. Working well with this energy means allowing discipline to serve growth rather than suppressing it, and letting systems remain responsive rather than fixed. March 2026 reminds us that vision requires structure in order to endure. What is reinforced now shapes the stability of what continues to grow. Through consistent effort, thoughtful organization, and realistic planning, this month supports transforming intention into something that can last. And that is your numerology news for March 2026. If you want to know your own personal numerology horoscope, make sure you're signed up for the newsletter and check us out on Instagram. But for now, I think it's time we take it over to Let Me Ask My Psychic. Mike, you know what to do. Drop that intro right here.
Feeling like something's missing in your life? Searching for clarity in the chaos? Unsure of your next move or just need some wise guidance? It's time for Let Me Ask My Psychic. Right here on the Higher Self Hotline, Zoe Greco is ready to dial into the divine and deliver some heavenly hints just for you. So why not give us a ring at 1-800-HIGH-ANGEL? Because who wouldn't want a little angelic advice?
All right, let's dive into this month's listener questions. And of course, I just want to remind you guys, I'm talking to you, can submit your listener questions by going to zoegreco.com/hotline. Okay? zoegreco.com/hotline. And that is where you can leave your questions for me. Ask me anything. You can say as much as you want, divulge as much as you need. Anything that's on your heart and mind, I am here to answer. So without further ado, let's get into today's questions. So I pulled 5. I don't think we're going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to go where the energy's flowing. You know what I mean? So this first one says, I have a big decision coming up and I keep, quote, polling the group. We know what that's like. Because I want someone to say the exact sentence that makes me feel safe. Oof, yes. I know that is me outsourcing my authority, but I also don't want to pretend I'm above needing support. What does healthy external input look like when you're trying to make an aligned choice? And how do you personally decide when to stop asking and start choosing for yourself? First of all, I actually think that there is benefit to polling the group, but not because I believe that we should outsource our decision making to other people. In the end, that decision belongs to you. In the end, what is most important is the fact that you are tuning into the voice of your inner truth, your intuition, the voice of your higher self, the voice of your future self, the voice that beckons to you and always tells you exactly what you need to do in a given moment. That answer is always there. It is always accessible, and it is always present under the noise. I think polling the group can be important because information, when you are self-assured or when you're building self-assurance, information is actually just that. It's informative. When someone else shares their opinion or their take, notice how that sits for you. Does it resonate? Does it feel frictional and dissonant? Do you feel resistance because you know it's true, not because you don't like it? And believe it or not, you do know how to tell the difference. And I see this time and time and time again with the people in You Already Are in my container, because something will come up, whether it's through me or through their own inner knowing, and they're like, I don't like that, but I know that it's true. I know that it's real. I know that it's right. I know that it's correct. And that is the most important information that you can use in your decision making, is what hits for you. And sometimes we need to hear other opinions and other input so that we can know how we feel about it, so that we can be energetically or imaginatively stimulated to take ourselves down different paths of possibility, feel into it, and then decide if that's the path we want to explore or not. So there is a fine line. The thing that I would say is, if you find yourself in a circle, if you're kind of circulating through the same pros and cons and the same list of like yes, no, maybe so's, that's when you know it's time to unplug. That's when you know it's time to disconnect from outside input, get really quiet, get really personal, and just go within and make your decision, make your choice. Nobody dislikes it more than when somebody is asking for their advice, but then kind of like ruminating over and over and over on the same points. That feels exhausting for the person going through it. That feels exhausting for the person who's being asked their advice. And at that point, you're not looking for advice. You're looking for permission. Ooh, sorry about that. Sorry. I said it. Sorry. You want permission, and you're not going to get permission from your friends. Your friends want you to do what you want to do. Now, there are people in your life that you might feel like you need permission from. And if you have something that you really, really deeply desire, that you know there are people in your life that wouldn't support, ask yourself, do people not support me because my inaction keeps them comfortable? Do people not support me because they don't know, they lack the imagination or the desire to live a life the size of the life that I want to live, or like the flavor of life that I want to live? And also ask yourself, is this someone whose advice I actually want? Is this someone whose permission I actually want? Is this someone whose choices and decisions I resonate with? And if not, I think you've got your answer. So I do think it's okay to get data points. I do think it's most important to tap in and tune into your own inner knowing and let that be your decision maker. And I think it's really important to be quite cognizant and careful of rumination and circulation, and to pull yourself out of that pattern by going within, spending time with yourself, doing some journaling, doing some meditating. Like, be with you. Be with you, because you are the one that has that answer. And if you're not willing to be with yourself, that's a different question. That's a different conversation. Then we need to ask ourselves, why? Why are you not willing to be with yourself? Likely because you're afraid to hear the answer, because you know it's going to bring you toward a choice or a decision or an action that you won't get permission for from the people in your life who are kept comfortable by your complacency. Sorry. I hope that answer is resonant and supportive to you. Let's look at our next one. Ooh, okay, this is a good one. I've been doing the inner work for years. I've been doing therapy, regular journaling, even breath work, shadow work, all of it. I understand my patterns intellectually, and I can name my wounds in real time, yet I still find myself choosing dynamics that mirror the same core lesson. I feel that. At what point does insight actually turn into an embodied experience? And how can I move from knowing my trauma to no longer organizing my identity around it? This is an incredible question. So, and I think one that we can answer actually quite quickly. So to answer your question, the truth is, you make that switch when you do one single thing. There is one single thing that takes like a lesson into an embodied knowing, and it is making a different choice. Oof, I know. It is making a different choice. When you find yourself in the same patterns, scratching at the surface of the same wounds, not able to escape a pattern or a cycle, it's because you are actively choosing. You're not changing because you're choosing to stay in those patterns and experiences. So for instance, let's say that you have a pattern of seeking out emotionally unavailable partners romantically. If that's the case, you likely are quite icked out by someone who is emotionally available. It's confusing to you. It gives you the ick. You're like, I don't get it. You don't trust it. You feel like it can't be true. And so you choose not to engage. Okay, well, in all reality, if you continue to choose partners who mirror that sense of emotional unavailability that you know and you recognize because it feels comfortable, it feels like it's calling you in, it's like what you want, you know? If you keep choosing that, you're not going to be able to escape the pattern. At some point, you have to make the choice to bring a different energy or experience into your life. And you have to do so through fear, through doubt, through lack of resonance. When you resonate with emotional unavailability, you're not going to initially resonate with emotional availability. It's not going to feel good to you. It's going to feel weird and icky and gross. And there is a part of the process in which you do have to sort of sit in the reality of those new choices and let them take shape. Like, let them do what they need to do. Let them ground into reality so that you can begin to build comfort and resonance, so that you can realize, oh, this isn't too good to be true. And this isn't someone just love bombing me. And this isn't all the things I was so afraid that it was. This is the real deal. This is what I've been looking for, that I've been maybe resistant or hesitant or fearful to let into my life. Ooh, okay. So in all reality, you move from understanding the lesson and understanding the wound to living in a more healed, embodied reality by making the choices that align with your healed, embodied reality. I know. And this is actually something that I find that we really get to navigate in real time in the container as my students are making those active choices to change their lives in the face of their ego, in the face of their fears, in the face of their doubts. It is materializing into all the things that they want. But in order for that to happen, they do have to choose it rather than waiting to be chosen by it. Because the blessings are there, the blessings are available, but you do have to claim them. You do have to choose them. You do have to have the capacity to hold them. You do have to know that you are worthy of receiving them. And you learn those things first by just letting them in, by choosing to invite them in. And once they're in, then you begin to feel worthy. You begin to feel deserving. You begin to feel aligned. You begin to feel resonant. You begin to feel those things. Because part of you already knows that that's for you, already knows that that's just waiting for you and you're waiting for that. But you do have to claim it, and you claim it through your choices and decisions. So I hope that answer is resonant. Okay, let's do one more. This one starts out, this is embarrassing, but I think I'm addicted to potential. Oof, okay. I keep choosing people and paths that have this sparkling promise to them, and then I get stuck doing the emotional labor of turning what is possible into what is real. I want a love life and a career and a life in general that actually meets me where I am, not where I could be if I just work hard enough. Oh, you just ate down with that one. How do you break the spell of potential when it is genuinely intoxicating? And what are the early signs that something is not meant for you, even if it's exciting? This is a fabulous question. So breaking the spell of intoxication, of that like intoxicating, I guess I could say breaking the intoxicating spell of potential is difficult, because what is actually necessary in order to make that change, make that switch, is shifting the belief that you have to work hard to have what you want. That one's tough. You don't have to work to have what you want. You don't have to earn to have the partner that you desire or the job that you desire. I mean, of course, yes, like you do have to take certain steps, take certain actions, but it's not the same as like a project. Not everything has to be a project. And when someone is in front of you and you identify their potential, I want you to really know and remember that you are using your own intuitive abilities, your own psychic abilities, your own power to look into their possibilities, not their inevitability. So let me clarify that. What you're sensing and what you're seeing is extrasensory. You are using extra senses to perceive it because it's not actually in front of you, right? Like the potential of a person doesn't dance in front of you. It's something that you conjure and you imagine, right? Like that's happening in your brain, not in front of you. And as you conjure it, you are seeing what can be, not what will be. And more so than what can be, and more so than what will be, what is important is what is. What is? Are they a person who is actively working toward their potential? Then sure. Yeah, okay. Is it a job that is actively evolving in front of you that you can see, like, you know, the team or the business or the opportunity is clearly creating a path toward an outcome? Great. But if it's just the promise of something or the idea of something or the general concept of something, then it's not something yet. And you are not responsible for the materialization of everything that you desire. That's what magic is for. That's what the universe is for. That's what other people are for. Like, we are allowed to simply receive at the level of our desires. We are allowed to simply accept what is, not what can be or what will be. And could that sometimes feel like, you know, doubting someone's potential or not giving them the benefit of a doubt or not being open-minded? Potentially, but how many times has being open-minded or giving someone the benefit of a doubt gotten you stuck in a pattern where you, as you said, are doing all of the emotional labor, doing all of the literal labor, doing all of the work to make that happen, right? And it's not to say that we can't let ourselves be helped or let other people, like, you know, help other people. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, for instance, okay, here's a great example. I do this podcast. I do all the work for this podcast, right? Except for obviously the editing, which Mike does. Shout out to Mike. You know, there's a team, right? There's a team behind this podcast. But at the end of the day, like, if I don't sit down and record, then there's no show, right? Like, so Mike has the ability to edit, right? Tish has the ability to produce. You know, Ethan helps with my camera and my lighting setup. Like, those are skills that those people have. And there's potential in that, but the potential is realized by my presence in the experience. So if those people aren't seeing me sit down to do the work, then I am just potential. I'm just a fun, interesting girl who knows how to yap, right? But if I'm not sitting down and doing my scripting and doing my planning and doing my this and doing my that, and if I'm not doing the work that is required of me, then the people that support me can simply see me as potential, as having potential to have a podcast, as having potential to have a show. That's not the same thing as those people investing in me because they know that I'm also doing the work, right? That's a very different experience. So all of that to say, what can be is not the same as what will be, and what will be is not the same as what is. So you break the intoxicating spell of potential by connecting to, observing, believing, and really just prioritizing your view of what is. And if what is in front of you is not what you want, then it's not for you. Point blank, period. Well, guys, I think that's enough of me being cool, interesting, and yapping for today. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me for this hour plus. Thank you so much for hanging out for this long form content together. I've got to be honest, I'm not made for Instagram algorithm. I'm not made for TikTok algorithm. I'm made for this. I'm made for sitting down and yapping my ass off. And it's what I love to do. And I love to do it for you. So I would love to conclude by sending this week's subject some love, sweetness, and positivity, you, as we continue to grow and flow and evolve together. And if you're interested in being on the podcast, send an email to podcast@zoegreco.com. Connect with me on all socials at the Zoe Greco, even though this is my favorite place to hang out with you. Please do me a favor, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. That would literally actually mean the literal actual world to me. It would be the most amazing thing you could possibly do. And I want to remind you that you are important. You matter, and you are perfect exactly as you are. I love you, your spirit guides love you, and the universe loves you. So, until next time, keep answering the call of your higher self. Bye, friends! All right, Mike, let's do this. Mike, how are you? I haven't heard from you in a while. Let's do the damn thing, shall we? And that's a wrap, Mike. Thanks for hanging with me today. It's just one of those days. I know you've had them, Mike. You get it. Sorry, I thought I was going to burp. Okay. If we're still doing bloopers, you can use that. Oh, okay. I could really use a little